Good evening, everybody, and welcome to One on One with Unc. It has been a long time. Uh, yeah, I think the last broadcast was back in April of this year. And a lot has happened since then. I've been trying to come back, but I kept hesitating and procrastinating. Hey, what's up, G fam? What's going on? But I am back. Um, my guest tonight, she just texted and said that she's running about 10 minutes behind. Uh-oh, she's here. Well, alrighty, we're going to get started. My guest tonight is a writer, an actress, an entrepreneur. You've probably seen her in Twenties I think that's on BET. Let's see, what else? There's quite a few shows she's been in. She's done some snit tippets and see, let's see, I had all this stuff. How about I look in the hold on one second. You would think the Unc would be a little bit more organized. Already, she's in Leimert Park, also, which is an official Sundance selection. You're the Worst, which is on FXX network. And she's very accomplished. She toured with Jimmy Cliff. She's on his Grammy-winning album, Rebel. She's also a business owner, an entrepreneur. She sells candles. She's into tarot and a lot of other things. She also sings. I'm going to show you a little snippet of some of the range of what she does. Uh-oh. Might help if I turn the sound on.
It's a good age. I tested for Ugly Betty when I was 25. Who's Ugly Betty?
Listen.
And with no further ado, I bring to you Miss Ashli Haynes.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show. You're my first guest since April.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'd been out for a while and I was procrastinating. I'm trying to figure out if I really want to do this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then I'd start and I'd be like, it's kind of hard asking people because, we all have this problem with rejection.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking, well, you have not because you ask not. So right. I just start asking it and people are starting to respond. So it's really great. So I appreciate you coming on. Let's get right into it. If you could let everybody know what you do and who you are.
Well, I thought your introduction was actually great. It was perfect. Spot on. My name is Ashli Haynes. I'm an actor, writer, singer, entrepreneur. And yeah, so you showed a clip of my reel, which I haven't seen that stuff and it's been a few years. So
yeah, I was going through YouTube and I was like, okay, let's see. And then I come up with this bright idea. Hey, why don't you play that and see how that goes over?
So, yeah, that was great. That was really great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And right now I play Courtney on Twenties, which is a show that currently airs on BET as well as Showtime. And it was created by Lena Waithe. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
All right. So obviously you enjoy what you do.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. What is it like in Hollywood? Because you see all the fanfare, but you somehow know that there's something else going on. People are busy. So what's it like? How has it enhanced your life? I should say.
Wow. Well, I will say that I've spent pretty much all of my adult life in Hollywood. And it's been, I guess, it's greatly contributed to who I am today. I mean, professionally, creatively, but also just as a person. With the entertainment industry, with any industry, there are pros and cons. The entertainment industry, it's fun. It's crazy because, you could literally be like waiting tables one day and then the next day you're living like a rock star touring with Jimmy Cliff. I mean, anything is possible. That is, I guess, what's the most beautiful thing, I guess, about my experience and just about being an artist in LA is that knowing that anything is possible. That's what keeps all of us here. And you meet people all the time, like there are different walks of life everywhere. And I feel like, well, yeah, I've learned that eyes are always watching you, whether you realize it or not. Yeah. So it's, I don't know if I fully answered your question, but it's
yes, but and you never know who's watching it. That much is true. Now, do you still get starstruck, or have you gotten used to seeing like maybe somebody here or somebody there or somebody that you idolize, and you're like, oh, well, okay, that's all right. I met him, and life is great now.
Yeah, I get starstruck. I mean, I feel like internally I get starstruck, but I have a great poker face, so
okay,
no one can
they wouldn't know.
Starstruck. So
okay.
That's kind of cool. And also, I feel like most of my life I've never realized where I was until after the fact. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like you think back to memories, and in hindsight, you're like, oh wow, like that was crazy. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's. I mean, I guess I get so. Who was the last person that? I mean, honestly, I feel like Lena is probably the last person that I got starstruck over, and that was just because I guess maybe the year before I started working with her, I said I'm going to work with her. You know what I mean?
Okay, so, right.
Yeah, and also I feel like she's just done a lot in such a brief amount of time, like a short amount of time. What she's creating is extraordinary.
Okay, and when did you start, or when did you know you wanted to be an actress?
Oh, ever since I was a kid. I was 3 years old, watching The Cosby Show, and there was a scene on there with Raven-Symoné and Bill Cosby. They were in the living room, and I literally just turned to my mom. I was sitting in my living room, and I turned to my mom, and I was like, I want to do that. And she instantly became my momager and took my headshots and found me an agent. And,
wow.
I've like been, I mean, not my whole life, but most of my life, I've been acting in some way, whether it was theater or television or film or whatever. It's wild. Sure. When you think of like the fact that I'm basically living the dreams of my 3-year-old self, you know what I mean, and like still pursuing that. It's like my entire life was designed by a 3-year-old. Like that's wild.
Yeah. So your mom knew. She knew that there was something there, because as parents we're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. You're a little kid and you're like, hey, I want to do this. And because kids, we as kids, their imagination is, and they're all over the place. And today they want to play with this toy, but tomorrow they don't care anything about that toy. So for her to latch on and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, she must have known that there was something special about you as well.
Oh yeah, she knew. I mean, I was an only child for like the first 7 or 8 years of my life, and she like up until that point, I was the smartest girl in the world, the prettiest girl in the world, the greatest girl in the world. You know what I mean? So
of course.
then my sister was born and she had to stop saying that. But yeah, my mom knew.
So what was your first acting gig?
Oh, a Flavor Flav, a Public Enemy music video.
Oh,
Yeah, so
I bet that.
Sorry, go ahead.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting. There were lots of children there, and half the kids were angels and half the kids were devils. And I don't remember if I was an angel or a devil. But I feel like whichever role that I got, I wanted to play the other one.
Okay. Okay. So you just wanted to be the opposite.
Right. But I'm an Aquarius. That's just my nature.
Okay.
But yeah, they paid us in M&Ms and beach ball, which I'm pretty sure
M&Ms. Well, yeah, as a kid, that was like the jackpot.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like money. What do you? Well, I don't need no money. Give me that. I want the candy.
Right, yeah, right. Well,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, my poor dad. He was there because my mom had to work or something, or a doctor's appointment or something like that. And I mean, he kept asking me, "Do you want to go? Do you want to go?" Because we'd been there all day, and I'm like, "No, right. Daddy, I want to stay until the end."
Oh yeah,
and, yeah. So we did, and I can't. I've tried searching for that music video, and I've seen it, like I saw it as a kid, but it's like it doesn't exist anymore. I don't know what happened to it, but I would love to see it. So if anybody,
do you know what song it was?
No, I don't remember the song, but I do remember there were kids playing angels and devils in the music video. So it's a Public Enemy music video. So if anybody knows which video that is, please let me know.
Well, if I run across it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Although I wasn't really a Public Enemy fan, or that music genre, right. But you had to see it. Everybody knows Flavor Flav, so it's like, with the big clock. So
right, exactly.
So who are some of your big influences? We won't just for right now we'll stick with the acting, but we'll go and find out, in other spots in your life. But for as far as acting, who would you say is the one that you're like, oh?
I would say, Angela Bassett, I think, is amazing. I've loved her. I've idolized her since I was a child. So she's definitely like my top favorite actress for sure. She's amazingly talented, and there's something about her that's just so regal, and
yes,
classy.
Yes,
and
she is.
Yeah,
she's all of those things.
All of those things. So yeah, I would say her for sure.
So have you met her? I guess not, because then I think you would probably lose your poker face.
Oh yeah, I would definitely be stuck over her.
Yeah, it'd be so much for the poker face for that one. And let's see, I'm going to read a quote, and I'm going to see if you can tell me where you heard this. If the thought of acting and the thought of becoming successful doesn't want to make you cry, then get up and want to try again. Quit now.
Oh, that was Thelma. What's her last name? It was the aunt from what's that show with Steve Urkel?
Oh, Family Ties.
Family Matters.
Family Matters. That family.
Right. What is that actress's name?
Thelma Hopkins.
Thelma Hopkins. That's right.
You remember her from Family Matters. See, I go back a little bit further when she used to sing with this group called Tony Orlando and Dawn. There's a song that they did Not Three Times. I think that was one of the biggest songs, and she was song. Yeah, she sang background. That's how I remembered her, because I remember seeing her on Family Matters, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. So I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen her somewhere, and that's where I remember her from. So
she was a singer. That's so funny.
Yeah,
But yeah.
She sang. She was a background singer for Tony Orlando and Dawn. I was like,
Oh
okay.
wow, that's amazing. But yeah, she said that. I met her at this party. Robbie Reed I don't know if she's still there. She probably does. Every summer she throws this huge party. And my mom said tie a yellow ribbon. She's watching. Hi, Mom. Charlie, you stop it. Sit down. That's my puppy.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about Charlie too.
Yeah, he's just running around, being himself. Say hi, Charlie. Come here. Oh, you camera shy now? Come here. But yeah, so Robbie Reed, say hi, Charlie. Okay. Bye.
Yeah, he's not feeling that right now. He's got other things to do.
Right, exactly. But every summer, Robbie Reed throws this huge party for Black Hollywood, and my first summer in LA, somehow I had a friend who was really good friends with her, so he got me invited, and I met Thelma Hopkins, and I told her I was an actress, and she was like, yeah, well, if the thought of being an actress doesn't make you want to cry and get up and do it all over again, then quit now. And she was serious, and she was right. So thank you, Thelma.
I've always been amazed at how people can, you see these people in these movies and they learn these lines and they remember this stuff. And I'm like, I can't remember from here to there sometimes. And I'm like, what kind of discipline does it take? And what do you do to practice or rehearse? Because I know you have to, a lot of times you're by yourself. So how much time do you put into it?
I mean, I think every role is different. I try to find truth in whatever character I play, and that's based on studying the text and finding the subtext, and like using your imagination, of course, and also whatever lived experience you can bring to the character. That's what you do as well. So it's a mixture of like my own experience with my imagination and just investigating. And there is a freedom with that. Like, yes, it requires discipline, but you also have to make it fun, because if you're not enjoying yourself, then it'll show.
Definitely.
Yeah. And just how much time, I guess that just depends on how much time you have. I mean, sometimes you book something last minute and you just gotta roll with the punches,
Okay.
But sometimes you have weeks, and that's a gift when you don't procrastinate.
Yeah, of course, because of course there's distractions, and right. I guess it depends on how deep into your craft you really are. How much does it really mean to you? Because I've always believed that if you halfway do something, you'll get a halfway result. So if you're really not into it, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Right.
So you have to love it, because otherwise you'll just show up and you're like, okay, that's it. I just got to read this. All right, I'll read this and then I'm gone. So I can't imagine doing that. I did do a play one time, and I think I had like 3 lines. Excuse me 1 second. My producer is giving me some information.
Okay.
All righty. For those that have just come in, we're talking to Miss Ashli Haynes. She is an actress, a writer, an entrepreneur. She stars in the TV show Twenties, which you can find on BET. She also plays, and she's a part in Leimert Park and You're the Worst. I guess those are current, but that was my next question. What's on the horizon? Or are you working on anything new right now that you could talk about?
Right. Well, I am shooting an indie film right now, we had to take a break because of COVID, but we're actually getting
Right.
back to it this week. So that's exciting. It's a rendition of the Phantom of the Opera, and I
Ah.
play La Carlotta, who's kind of a villainous character, and she's this opera diva. So I get to sing opera and be a diva and dress up, and it's fun. It's a fun role to play.
Okay. Well, I guess that's where the 3-year-old imagination gets to come in, and so you never leave that child behind because you can gain, get information from the child as far as the imagination, which helps you with, your characters. And I can
Absolutely.
imagine it. Now, are there any of all the characters that you've played? Are there any that resemble anything close to you?
Ooh. I would say Leimert Park, Bridget in Leimert Park. I would say I really identified with her, like a younger version of myself. You know what I mean? I've
Okay.
since outgrown all of that, but she's this hopeless romantic, doe-eyed, bushy-tailed girl, young
Naive.
woman, naive, exactly, naive,
Okay.
and very sheltered young woman, and you know, yeah, I definitely, when I was younger, I related to that. So playing her was a lot of fun.
Okay. Sounds interesting. Um, Now, let's get into some of the other things that you do. You're an entrepreneur. I saw that you have intentional candles. Exactly what does that entail, and how, what does that mean?
So intentional candles, intention candles. Some people call them intention candles, but they're basically candles that you use to manifest, like whatever your heart desires. And I make candles for love, abundance, protection, clarity, peace of mind. Um, and basically it starts with an intention oil that I batch on a full moon, and I rest for one moon cycle. I make the oil with food grade organic essential oils and herbs, and then I let that rest. I batch it on a full moon, let it rest for moon cycle, and then when it comes time to make the candles, it's a multi-step process. In the face of the candle are cleansed and charged crystals, and then there are also herbs in the candle itself, but then the center is actually just the wax, so only the center melts, and you're left with a beautiful keepsake at your
Oh,
candle's completion. And so basically, you meditate with your candle, you say a prayer with your candle. I put intention into it as well and pray over them before I send them out. But each candle comes with a little intention for you to say, like an intentional prayer, and you do that when you light your candle. And and they also come with mini tarot readings as well.
okay. Now, the tarot readings. How,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Now, a lot of people associate tarot cards with uh, voodoo and witchcraft, and because I know as a kid, I saw you see the movies, and you see the lady with the long fingernails, and she's got these cards, and the crystal ball and all this crazy stuff. And as I've gotten older and seen people use the tarot cards, it's not it's completely different. So how does how how does that work, and how did you know that you wanted to do that?
Right. So I use tarot as a divination tool to receive guidance, clarity, healing, empowerment. I use it as a tool to empower whoever I'm reading for to make the changes they need to make in order to shift the trajectory of their life. If that's what they want. And sometimes the tarot just, when you're in alignment with your highest self already, when you're already doing the work, the tarot can also just affirm that. So it depends on who's sitting and what questions they're asking and what their intentions are. Is it possible to predict the future with tarot? Absolutely. But I like to use it mainly just as a tool to help people, help them heal and grow and ascend, and wake up. It's not, I mean, it's, as far as it being, no, it's not witchcraft at all. But like voodoo and all of that, I mean, you also have to take into consideration just the, I guess, the history and the history and the culture of this country, and like what's considered appropriate and what's considered inappropriate or bad or evil, just our conditioning in general. It's like the practice of voodoo or hoodoo. It comes from African roots practices, spiritual practices and religions, with the influence of Catholicism and, practices here native to whatever lands where the practitioner is from. And so, I do feel like the media definitely portrays religions and spiritual practices that are rooted in the diaspora as something that's bad, just because this country is racist and anti-Black and colonialism and and racism and white supremacy and all of that. So it's like, you really have to, instead of judging something as being bad or evil or scary, you really just have to do some investigating and dig and think critically for yourself and decide, okay, like, yes, I'm open to this, or no, I'm not open to that,
Okay.
Yeah, did I answer your question? Sorry.
Yes.
I feel like I kind of went off on a tangent. Yeah.
It's okay. It's all right. They tell me that sometimes I talk too much and that I should let my guests talk. So that's why I was like, okay, whatever she says, hey, I'm going to go with it, because I know that somebody's going to say, well, dang, are you going to let your guests talk? So I just let you have at it, and also in listening, you learn. And because like I said, when I was coming up, I saw the it was seen as witchcraft, and now I understand, because you said something that caught my attention about how the country is racist, and anything that comes from our culture is considered bad if it's different from theirs. And it's crazy. It really is. I've seen a lot of things in my time, and so that right there puts it a different perspective for me. So thank you. I appreciate that. You can learn anything if you just listen.
Oh, thank you.
Now, I was watching, I was doing some research, and I saw the Dark Night of the Soul. What is that about? And if you can explain what that is.
The Dark Night of the Soul. I mean, we all go through it. And I would say there are many in a lifetime. You don't just experience one Dark Night of the Soul. It's basically when you hit rock bottom. When you hit rock bottom and are going through a difficult time, and it feels like, the world is against you, but the world is not against you. The universe is not against you. God has not forsaken you. It's usually when we go through trying times like that, there are lessons for us to learn. There's something that we have yet to receive because we've been blind or asleep. And so the Dark Night of the Soul is normally, when it happens, that is that event that forces you to wake up, that catapults you into a conscious spiritual journey, hopefully, unless you don't get it and things get worse. It's like, When I think of the Dark Night of the Soul, I think of the Tower card in the Tarot. And the Tower card, it never really feels good. It's usually unexpected. It's an event that happens that kind of just knocks everything that you've built apart. But that's because it wasn't built on a solid foundation. And so the event happens for you to clear away the rubble so that you can rebuild something that is on a solid foundation, that's in service of your highest good and your growth. So that's basically what the Dark Night of the Soul is.
Okay. See, I'm just soaking it up. This is very interesting. And like I said, and during my research, I came across a lot of different things. Also, Mercury. What is Mercury retrograde?
So Mercury retrograde is, Mercury is the planet that rules like communication, technology, thinking. And so Mercury retrograde, all of the planets at some point or another go retrograde, right? They're not really traveling backwards, but from the vantage point of Earth, it appears as though those planets are moving backwards in orbit. So when Mercury goes in retrograde, physically it's not actually, but that's just what it looks like. It happens, I guess, 3 times a year on average. And so normally in that period, as above, so below, we feel that energy. And so that's when you can expect delays, miscommunication leading to like drama. Mercury retrograde is a great time to rest because, I mean, when that planet is in retrograde, it's a time for us to like slow down and maybe not communicate and maybe reflect. Because I found that when you push ahead and keep going and kind of don't acknowledge or respect the energy that's around you, that can lead to trouble. Hence, a dark night of the soul.
Okay. It's starting to make sense now. Now, I did hear you mention during you were doing an interview or something, and you mentioned how you manifested with the candles. And I meant to ask you that when we were talking about the candles.
Mm-hmm.
Making the candles, it came to you and it was like, okay, whatever. And you finally decided that, hey, you know what, maybe something's trying to tell me something.
Yeah, so I guess I had gone through my own dark night of the soul in the beginning of 2018, and it was during a Mercury retrograde. And also when Mercury retrograde happens, it's typical for us to like revisit things from our past. So things from our past come back, or we start thinking about things from our past, or we literally run into people from our past. And so this particular Mercury retrograde, I ran into like 11 people from my past, and Mercury retrograde only lasts for like 2.5 weeks. So within 2.5 weeks, I ran into 11 people from my past. And that kind of like shook me up. It helped me realize that the universe was trying to send me a message that had to do with, me healing or not processing feelings. And, there was some healing that needed to happen. Right. So anyway, that kind of put me on my conscious spiritual path. And I found a grounding practice where I would pray and meditate and journal, and say my gratitudes and do yoga, and read texts about spirituality. So I did that every day consistently for about a year. And I mean, I still do it, but it hasn't been consistent, especially since the pandemic. But anyway, so that happened, and that kind of, I guess, placed me in a position where my mind was quiet and my body was still so that I could receive information, which some people call downloads. And one of the downloads I received was my candles, and like not just what the candles look like, but actually how to. Would have visions of how to make these candles, and I thought, oh yeah, that's a cool idea, because I'd already started working with herbs and making intention oils, and at the time, like I was dressing little tea light candles with my oils, and you know, whatever manifestation I was setting, like it would work, right? And so I thought making the candles myself would be cool, but I also kind of put it off and was procrastinating. But like eventually I just couldn't get away from them. Like they were just always popping up. And so I'm like, okay, now I guess I do need to make these candles and make them happen. And so I did. And I actually have a couple just lying around. Let's see, this one, this is an I Am Clean. So you'll see this crystal in the face of the candle. This is black tourmaline, which is great for protection. So with I Am Clean, and you'll see like only the center melts. So all of this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this has black pepper and sage. And so this is to remove toxic energy and low vibrations from your life, your space, your relationships, people from your life. And it also calls in protection as well. And then what other? Oh, I have an I Am Love candle here, which has rose quartz. Where is it? Yeah, so rose quartz and red roses are in this candle, and this is to call in the highest vibration of love in all of its forms. So that's how I guess I manifested my candles. But really, it was just a divine blessing. I didn't, I was working with manifestation, sure, but those candles, they didn't come from me. You know what I mean? Like they were literally given to me. It's like God was saying, do this. And I eventually just had to say, okay.
Yeah. I was listening to Oprah one time, and she talked about how when something comes to you, we ignore it. And sometimes it'll pluck you in the head, and then you ignore it, and then it'll slap you in the head, and you continue to ignore it until all of a sudden it seems like a brick wall just comes down on you. And then you realize that, hey, you know what? Somebody's trying to tell me something, and I better pay attention. So
Right.
that's usually how that works. You do photography as well.
I
I mean,
do.
you just do a whole lot of stuff now, and I gather that, say, for whatever reason, Hollywood just says, you know what, we don't want to make shows, or they decide that you have become obsolete. It sounds like you are already prepared to move to the next life. Like, okay, fine. You don't need me anymore. I don't need you. Or if you just decide to, hey, you wake up one morning, you're like, I'm done with this. I've had
Right.
enough. Yeah. And it's like, so you have all of these tools at your disposal. The photography, what kind of photography do you do?
I mostly do different types of portraiture. So headshots, yes, but family portraits, boudoir, couples, engagement photos. But I also do weddings. Like weddings are actually my favorite thing to shoot. So portraiture, weddings, events, but yeah, as far as like, I've always been the type of person that like enjoys trying new things, being creative and exploring, you know what I mean? And usually I'll try something for the first time and I just happen to be good at it. Like it's it's weird.
Yeah, well, actually, my oldest son is like that. I mean, everything he touches, it turns to gold. He's like, he can build you a car, he can build you a house, he'd give you a tattoo. He's my barber. I mean, and the things, he's good at it. I mean, it's not like he makes T-shirts and stuff. I mean, it's actually, you say a jack of all trades and a master of none. However, he masters all these things, and I'm like, how does he do it? I'm like, I break something, I take something apart. You best believe if there's more than two parts to it, it ain't getting put back together. So but it is amazing, to watch people like that can do all of these different things so effortlessly. And I sit and watch him, and we tease him a lot about stuff, and like something that happened, in like an apartment, and we're like, well, he'll just build us an apartment, don't worry about it. So
He probably will.
yes, he probably would. Let's see, I've got some people that have some questions.
Okay.
Now, before we do that, I'll put the information in the description for the candles and the let's see, the can. Wait a minute, let me go these things that you do: the candles, the turret, the photography, and the acting, whatever, so that they can find you. All of your social media. I remember saying that everything is Ashli Haynes, so that's pretty easy. Now, I do see a question. If somebody wants to know your thoughts on the vaccine. Now, before you answer it,
Mm-hmm.
are you comfortable? Because I generally stay away from certain topics, but
Right.
if you're comfortable with it, have at it.
Okay. Well, what do they want to know about my thoughts?
They want to. Okay, Tawanda, she wants you to be a little more specific. Okay, she just wants to know your thoughts.
Just my thoughts.
Yes.
I think we're in unprecedented times. I think there are a lot of reckless, irresponsible people out there who have behaved and continue to behave as if we're not in the middle of a pandemic, and we are. And there is no question, Charlie, come here. There's no question on whether or not COVID is real. I am all for you doing whatever you want with your body. If you feel like you don't want to get this vaccine, that's your business. However, if you take that stance, then you should be responsible and keep your ass at home. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what else to tell you.
Well,
it's that simple, and even when you have the vaccine, you can still get it, you can still spread it. So people generally, whether they're vaccinated or not, because there are a lot of vaccinated people who are reckless, just as reckless.
Yeah.
So it's like, whether you're vaccinated or not, you still need to use caution. Like, why are you on dating apps? Why are you screwing strangers? Why are you going to parties and concerts? And also, I feel like people, and Charlie, come here. I feel like people, we are collectively experiencing a trauma, like a huge trauma. The last 2 years have been traumatic. Nothing about this is normal. Nothing about this is normal. And instead of acknowledging that, like, okay, I'm not okay, and it's okay that I'm not okay, and what can I do to get to be okay, people are pretending like everything is normal, and then they're out here in these streets fucking, excuse me for cursing, but like wilding the fuck out, like, know what, like they really don't know how to act, they don't know how to drive, they don't know how to be social in these social settings that they think they want to be in. Like, people are literally killing people, and they're killing themselves. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's not,
yeah.
There's actually nothing funny about it. So that question of like, what do I think about the vaccine? I mean, it's so much big. What's happening right now is so much bigger than a vaccine. It's so much bigger than a vaccine.
True.
And
that is true.
I mean, I get people who don't trust the government. I get people who don't trust the FDA. The FDA is trash. Do you have any idea? And anybody knows this. Like, when you watch a commercial for a medication and like to treat glaucoma or something, and then they list all the freaking side effects, and
Yeah,
side
that's worse.
effects
It's worse
are
than
worse
what's
than
ever
the
wrong with you.
disease. Right,
Yeah,
exactly. Like cancer, sudden death, heart attack. Like what? All just to
yeah.
cure
Now,
an
now,
eye thing?
now
And the
the one that
FDA
used to,
approved that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like so
yeah,
that just, and I'm so, that's nothing new. Like when we think of pharmaceuticals in this country compared to like what is available in other countries, it's disgusting because it's clear that the government doesn't care about us. Like that is clear. So we have to be, like I said, we have to think critically. We have to be responsible. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to care for ourselves because
yeah.
nobody else is doing it. So, if you, there's nothing wrong with questioning the government, but there is something wrong with pretending like you're invincible and everything is fine and not caring about other people or potentially endangering yourself, your family, and other people. Like it's not right. Like we're just, it's not about the vaccine.
No, it really isn't. And it's crazy. Like we're talking about the side effects, and the one that used to get me was it can cause constipation or diarrhea. Now, I mean, what am I doing? Am I coming or am I going? Is it staying? Is it? I mean, what am I supposed to do? So all of these crazy side effects, and you're like, wow. But yeah, like you said, one says it could cause sudden death, and hey, I, I just got a wart. That's
Yeah.
I'm taking this because I got a wart, and now you're telling me that I could die from it. I'm like, man, I'll just keep the wart and figure
Right.
something else out. But it really is crazy. This whole pandemic thing, and like you said, they're just out and they're wilding out, and you know it, it is a trauma because you want to go and enjoy your friends and family, but you have to think, what's going to happen, if I go to this place and somebody else shows up, because I had COVID. And so, my entire family, our entire circle, had COVID. And, it was and I believe I was the one that had it the worst because it put me in the hospital for about 5 days. So, it was a very harrowing experience. And, you're like, okay, you know, I need to wear my mask, and I when I go out, I don't, you know, I sometimes I can get I try to be, you know, okay and understanding, but then there are moments where I'm like, you know what, I ain't going. I would sit in the parking lot at the gas station and wait until there was nobody, and that sometimes would take like 5 or 10 minutes. But I just didn't want to go in there, mask or no mask, because you had people coming there with no mask, and they're like, I don't care. I'm not okay. All right, that's on you. If that's how you want to be, then that's fine. I don't judge what people do. Whatever if that's how you want to handle it, that's fine. But don't get mad at me when I don't want to have nothing to do with you
Mm-hmm.
because, hey, it is what it is. So it's a really difficult time, and it's hard, especially when you are like my wife. She's very close to her family, and since the pandemic, they haven't been able to have functions, and then when they have them, it's just not the same, and she just won't go because it's like, so and it is, a lot. We do need healing, a lot of us,
Yeah.
you know but some people sometimes don't want to admit it, and especially in our on our side of the fence, it's like counseling is like this bad word, and I'm like, no, not really. It's,
Yeah.
sometimes it's okay, and to, like you said, it's okay to say that I'm not okay, just say it. It's okay. It's understandable because this time that we're going through is crazy. It,
Yeah, it
it
is.
really is, and not just. I mean, everything. People are mean now, meaner than they were. They're like just. I'm like, everybody's angry.
Mm-hmm.
It's angry, and I'm like, wow. But anyway, that's another topic for another show. But does anyone else have any questions? Oh, Bink Bink says she's not okay. Hello,
Oh,
Donna Green. I thank everybody for coming in. If you have any questions, now is the time to share your
I'm surprised
questions.
my mom doesn't. Mom, you don't have any questions? Is she still watching? Oh, G Free says hi. That's my mom, G Free.
I know. Tell her I said hello. Well,
All
I
right.
would I would like to thank you for spending your time with us, and still, that's right. It's still in the late afternoon out there. So
Yeah, we're
wow,
just approaching 5 o'clock. So.
really, don't rub it in, okay? Just because in fact, I used to I stayed in California. I was in Northern California. Yeah, well, some time ago. And, I would call back home and it's like daylight and I'm, enjoying life. And my friends are like, hey, dude, it's getting kind of late here. And like, well, what you doing? I'm like, oh, well, I'm ready to go down to the park. And what do you mean? Like, hey, bro, I'm sorry. So yeah, I know what that's like living out there on the West Coast. And you're talking to people on the East Coast and they're like, oh, so yeah. But
Yeah,
and plus the weather's probably nice. You're in the LA area.
yeah. The weather is
Yeah,
great. It was like,
yeah.
I don't know, close to 80 today. So.
Okay. Maybe I should just kept my mouth shut. And just say I should have just said good night.
Hey, you can always come visit.
Okay. Well, you know what? My in fact, my youngest son, he was staying in LA for a little while, and I would talk to him, and he'd be dad. I'm like, well, yeah. He said, Dad, I'm out on the beach. What do you mean the beach? Like, yeah, I got my feet in the sand, and I'm like, you know what? Goodbye. I don't want to talk to you right now. So I
Next
got
time,
to
you
be,
just send you a picture.
yeah, just yeah. I'm like, it's crazy, but I do appreciate you coming on. Um, I thank you so much, and you're a very talented young lady.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing. Hold on, don't go anywhere. I'm going to play something really quick. You hear that? Can you hear it?
No.
Oh, you can't. Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. What was I thinking? Hold on. Before I get you out of here.
Um, yeah, it's my favorite song. It's my favorite album.
Yeah, I think I better turn it off before they send me a message.
Oh,
But I just I just want to, I heard you speaking about Dr. Buzzard, and I'm like, who is this Dr. Buzzard? So I started listening to the album. I'm
yeah.
like, wait a minute. This song I know. I remember this song from somewhere. I don't remember where, but I just remembered it. I'm like, ah. So I started listening to some of the other songs. I'm like,
Mhm.
this young lady just has an old soul.
Yeah.
I'm like, so that explains a lot of why you are the way that you are, especially like with the candles and the intentions and the all of these things. And so yeah, but I just wanted to play that. I'm like, because I heard you mention that that was your go-to album when stuff is kind of like
Yeah.
murky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I just sing that song or sing the album and just dance and lay down and cry if I need to. I love that album. Thank you.
And you're welcome. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
I'll be glad to have you back. So
Okay.
I'll stay in touch, and when the next thing comes along, because I follow you on Instagram, so I know that when something's going on, it'll be there, and or your mom, she'll let me know. She'll send me a little note, say, hey, Ashley's da 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 da. So definitely, we'll have you back on again.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're more
I'll
than
talk
welcome.
to
You
you
take
soon.
care,
You
and
too.
good night, Charlie.
Bye. Say
Bye
bye,
bye.
Charlie. Bye.
He still ain't got time. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming in. I greatly appreciate everybody. Um, it was kind of I wasn't able to interact with the chat because for me, if I'm doing this and I start interacting and talking, I will lose my place, where I'm at. But I do appreciate you all. I'm not sure when. I know within the next 2 weeks there will be another show. I'm trying to get it together to have another one next Tuesday. Excuse me, but I will let you all know. Again, I appreciate it. I love you all dearly, and until I see you again, be happy on purpose and believe in you. Oh no, I believe in you. Believe in you too. Peace.